Welcome to List Size Matters, our list growth strategy session that's all about making sure you're growing your list starting right now in order to make as much revenue as possible for BFCM. I'm Laura Strino, Director of Content and Community here at Postscript, and thank you so much for being here. So we have 4 list growth experts joining us today. But before I welcome them to the stage, I want to talk about Apple's new iOS 26 update, which came out of beta yesterday and might be top of mind for many of you. So if you're unfamiliar, Apple's iOS 26 introduces updates which make it easier for users to find and enable the screen unknown senders feature. So if a user enables this feature, their text threads will be organized into separate inboxes. So you'll be divided by known senders and unknown senders. So the concern for marketers is, of course, how do we ensure that our texts have the maximum visibility? So we have an entire blog post up that outlines the changes. We'll drop that to the chat, and we'll also send it out via email after the webinar later this week. So while we've yet to see how widely adopted this feature will end up being or how much of an impact it might have on SMS marketing, Postscript is ready for it. So what are the most important facts about this update and what are we doing about it? So let's take a look. First fact. On the iOS 26 update, this feature will remain off by default in most regions, including the US, Canada, UK, and Australia. And new iOS versions in general tend to be adopted gradually. So second, our patented on-site opt-in method will remain the fastest way to grow your list. Screen unknown senders does not filter one-time passcodes, which are treated as time-sensitive messages. So third, there are several ways for your brand's number to be marked as a known sender. So your subscriber could save your number in their contacts. So, sending out a contact card campaign is a super simple, high impact way to get ahead of this. Subscriber marks your number as a known sender, which is a new UI button that will appear under text threads with this update. If a subscriber opts in via keyword or QR code starting the interaction themselves, that'll get you into known sender. And if a subscriber engages in conversation with your brand, so despite guidelines from Apple on this method, we've seen mixed results in testing. So we're going to continue to monitor it. But it's a very positive signal for conversational products like Shopper. Now, here's the good news. We're making it easy to keep up with this industry change and adding another way to be marked as a known sender. So today, we're launching on-site opt-in Engage. So this patent pending update improves inbox placement for iOS subscribers while maintaining the conversion rates our pop-ups are already known for. And it's built to support both mobile and desktop traffic. So that means no trade-off on opt-in performance, more trusted subscriber connections, better performance from your first send onward. Okay, so here's how it works. Once a subscriber enters their phone number into your pop-up, they'll receive a one-time passcode from a Postscript-owned phone number. This allows your brand number to stay eligible for known sender inbox placement. When they submit that code, they become a subscriber and are then taken to their messaging app to send a pre-populated message to your brand. With that subscriber-initiated conversation, you're guaranteed a spot in their known sender inbox. So again, this is a lot of information to take in. We're sending you all of this information and additional resources via email so you can learn more about Engage, the Apple iOS 26 updates, along with just a bunch of juicy list growth resources for you that will also drop along in chat as we get into it. And then as with everything SMS related, we're on top of it here at Postscript. So if you have any questions, hit us up or talk to your CSM. Okay, speaker time. Without further ado, it's time to welcome our speakers to the stage. We've got quite the lineup today. 3 incredible customers are joining us. We've got Connor McDonald, CMO for The Ridge, David Baker, Chief Digital Officer of Beekman 1802, and Michelle Lieberman, CRM Director for the SAC. And we also have our very own Brian Dickey, who many of you have probably worked with before, who is a senior SMS strategist and has always been the biggest advocate for list growth practices in e-commerce. So we do have a lot to get through in an hour, a lot of speakers, a lot of topics we want to try and cover. So please drop any questions you have as we go through into the Q&A tab. If we don't get to them at the end of this hour, we are going to try and answer as many as we can in our recap email, along with all the resources that we'll mention throughout. Okay. Connor, I'd love to start with you. And this will be a question I'll pose to everyone here. So a little bit of a softball to get us started. What is Ridge's current best practice for collecting SMS subscribers?
Totally. Well, one, I'll start. Thank you for having me. Stoked to be here. Longtime Postscript supporter. In terms of, we're going to talk a lot. So we've got a number of points to hit throughout the next, 53 minutes or so. The easy ones for us. I remember when this became popular, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I've got micro commitments. So like our initial question used to be, hey, would you like 10% off? Yes or no? And we saw that micro kind of commitment increase opt-in rates. It's easier for someone to engage. Once they're engaged, they seem to be opting in at a higher rate. So it's an easy win. One thing that we do for our business is we make our pop-ups more relevant. So this would be my second point, which is we have 3 main categories: wallets, luggage, wedding bands. So we build out different pop-ups for different types of traffic. So that's one, just as relevant as you can make it. We've seen that be successful in terms of increasing opt-in rates, as well as like continuing to qualify users that are on site. And then the way that those interconnect is now we've updated our most general pop-up when we're not sure exactly what someone's on the site to shop for. Our micro commitment now is asking what they're here for: wallets, luggage, wedding band, something else. So now we're able to get that easy opt-in. It also helps us like filter traffic at certain times, so we can tag those users to understand what they're in market for. And those are my 2 kind of easy wins as it relates to SMS pop-up optimizations.
Great. And then I know you've also been kind of one of our OGs in terms of on-site opt-in. Is that still something that Ridge is relying on in terms of acquisition?
Totally. So yeah, 100%. The way we structure our pop-ups, so I don't know if I'd call this best practice, but it's what we do. For something like this, we just got out of our sweepstakes, and for what it's worth, if you give away a Lamborghini like we just did, that is really great for your email and SMS opt-in. So I guess I will list that as a win for those who can swing it. But this is, okay, boom, you win free entries. That's the micro commitment. We're hitting them with an email opt-in at that point. And then we began using SMS opt-in earlier this year. And that was like one of the absolute easiest ways that we could drive up SMS opt-ins. It doesn't, as you can tell, it's like these screens are getting rolled out sequentially. So SMS opt-in on-site opt-in didn't increase our email opt-in rate. It's a more or less the same amount of people. We're finding wins there with things like micro commitments and giving away Lamborghinis. The on-site opt-in is nice because it just like really makes it simple for someone to opt into SMS messaging. They're never leaving the site. And we've seen consistently now 40, 50% SMS growth year over year with the same amount of traffic, with the same email commit. So just everything else, static, we're able to get SMS growth just with on-site opt-in. Massive, very easy win.
Give away a car.
Yeah. I guess I'd put that at the top of the list. Yeah, just less applicable for the group.
Michelle, same question for you. What are the biggest ways the SAC is collecting new SMS subscribers right now?
Yeah, so when we onboarded with Postscript and we got Brian here as our list strategist, we started right away testing a bunch of different variations. We had the long quiz asking them what they're looking for, what they're shopping for, and a short quiz format, and then a spin to win. And the spin to win version won by a lot. So we kind of like stuck to it and started optimizing different things with the spin to win, like the graphic or the timing or different things like that. We also did some testing with the offer because I am always challenged to go to the less promotional path. So like we really wanted to do 15% off for the welcome journey, but I advocated to test it before implementing it. And that kind of like dropped our sign in. And then we did 15% plus free shipping. And that also didn't win across against like the 20% off. So we just pick the best version. But then another like recent revelation that I love, and it's been really great, is partnering with a smaller, newer company that's called Unveiled.ai. It's an anonymous provider, identity resolution provider. So basically, there's a lot of them on the market, but I really love Unveil because they integrate with Postscript. They will find and identify the anonymous users that come on the site. So a lot of the traffic that comes from the great paid ads that we run, they don't want to convert. I don't know about you all, but like I've never seen 100% sign-in pop-up conversion, even the best of ones. So it was really great to get the matching rate to anonymous users that we identified as high intent, meaning they like visited 3 pages or they added to cart or something like that. They will also match the like traffic that we found as anonymous, but we actually were subscribed to. We had them as subscribers. So for the record, on SMS, you're not allowed to send just an SMS to someone who didn't explicitly subscribe. But a lot of times they come as anonymous, so we are unable to match them. So Unveiled helped with that. But then they also do the secondary trigger. So a lot of times your user or your customer will come on the site, they will get the pop-up and they will just dismiss it out of habit. But then they will stay on the site and look around and they were like, wait a minute, actually now I really do need that 20% off. And they won't just get it or like from refreshing the page. So Unveiled will identify that behavior as high intent and will show it back up. And it's been really successful for us.
And Michelle, will they show it back up as a pop-up, or are they going to capture those people with a specific browse abandonment flow or something like that?
They will show it back as a pop-up.
Great.
Yes, and it includes the exit intent with it as well. So if it was a high intent that is like toggling the mouse towards the X button, they will show it again as like a last chance. So that's like, again, an opportunity for the customer to explicitly give the consent so that they get the discount.
Okay, David, same question for you. What has worked best for Beekman in collecting more SMS subscribers?
Yeah, so I think definitely I'm going to piggyback off of what Connor said in those micro moments. For us, it's about building momentum. What we discovered is if we're just like everybody else and just say, enter your phone number or enter your email, get money back, that is a sea of sameness and a little bit of bland for the consumer. And more often than not, they're going to just skip. What we do instead is similar to Connor, where from a category perspective, we ask, are you here for facial skincare, like our serum here that's $72, or are you here for our body care, like our bar soap that's $7? That really helps us segment the consumers right away. And it helps give an air to the consumer of like, oh, that's an easy question to answer. Let me do that and get directed. And they're already in the intent and with that momentum to start going. We've A/B tested that, and it sounds counterintuitive that adding an extra step will increase conversion, but I really believe in the momentum aspect of that, and we've seen that play out in A/B tests. So that's one. The other is in cashback. So we have been a big user of Postscript's cashback program for well over 2 years now. And it's been very, very consistent for us in terms of savings, improving the list growth, and what I was really cognizant of and cautious of at the beginning was, is this going to have a longer term impact? Because ultimately this is very similar to a rebate program, and generally those have trouble with repeat purchasers because they think, oh, I'm getting this as a discount, not as cashback on my next purchase. What we found is that this is consistently an incredible way for us to give an offer that satisfies the dopamine hit of the consumer without taking as big of a hit to the P&L. And it's been really, really successful for us for well over 2 years. So I think for us, those are two big ways in which we have really driven, besides all the other amazing technology like on-site opt-in.
I was going to +1 to cashback as well. Ridge is heavy users there. Kind of to Michelle's point, to some degree, List growth comes down to like how big of a number can you show to people showing up on your site. And if you can do 20% cash back instead of 10% discounts, we do 30% credit back and we'll highlight that. And if you can drive up that percentage off, it tends to lead to higher opt-in rates. To David's point, not harming the P&L because you're doing it via cash back, some friction there, or credit where you're going to have higher margin on the value that you're giving back.
Ridge given so much value, 30% cash back, free Lamborghini. Get it all when you're on the Ridge website.
All for email and SMS signups.
Yeah. Brian, you work with a ton of brands using Postscript. Most of the people that are speaking here today. And one thing that comes up a lot when we talk about list growth, and we've talked about this a lot on, past webinars and stuff, is trying to quantify true list growth. So can you just quickly give a rundown to people watching this on how they should be measuring list growth? Maybe even what questions they need to ask in order to make sure that they aren't getting those inflated list growth numbers, like what our approach is, and maybe also directing people on like how to ask, how to really like challenge, am I getting the list growth that I should be getting?
Totally. Yeah. Lot of talk about pop-ups today. I also talk about this all day, every day with a lot of our customers, including a few here. And I think there's a lot of conversations in the market right now with e-commerce merchants jumping between pop-up platforms to collect email and SMS subscribers. And what I've found is that it's super easy to get hypnotized by inflated opt-in metrics and really like metrics that are engineered to show really high conversion rates. And so when merchants are like moving between pop-up providers to find the style or the tool that works best for their business, we find that more often than not, a lot of these metrics end up being vanity metrics and don't accurately reflect what's happening with the size of the list and new subscribers successfully opting in. And so this conversation is uniquely specific to SMS because of like the method of double opt-in and like confirming your opt-in to SMS. But it also applies to email as well and looking at conversion rate for email in the pop-up. So my recommendation is like when you're evaluating performance between platforms, whether it's your current provider or you're thinking about moving to a new provider, we really recommend looking at like the endpoint platforms to decide like what's actually happening with our list. How many subscribers are opting in, right? Are there duplicate subscribers opting in? Are there SMS subscribers that are just submitting their phone number and not completing their actual opt-in? And what this will do is give you like the most true and accurate picture for how your list is growing over time and not just looking at like opt-in conversion rates and getting hypnotized by those numbers. So a formula that you can use there is successful SMS opt-ins divided by unique visitors, right? So you're completely removing bias of your platform and in platform metrics and actually looking at what's happening with your email and SMS list. And then there's kind of a few basic questions that we recommend asking your pop-up provider, whether it's Postscript or another provider, just to get clarity on like how are metrics actually being calculated inside the platform so you can, again, understand like what's happening with your list. And so just to list a few, one, like how do you calculate opt-in rate, right? Like what is the metrics that goes into impressions? How's an impression generated? How's an opt-in measured, right? Is it just a submission or is it a successful opt-in into SMS? And then I'd say one more is like, what steps do you prevent skewed data, either around failed opt-ins or duplicates? And again, that's both applies to email and SMS. But the general message is that submissions don't always equal successful opt-ins, especially for SMS. And so it's always worth it to dig a little bit deeper and understand like what's actually happening with your list one layer deeper than maybe what your pop-up metrics are showing. So.
Thanks, Brian. That's really helpful. And we do have a kind of a deep dive into that topic on the blog. We'll try and drop that in chat, but if it's not in chat, we'll make sure everyone attending gets access to that, just so that you have the list of those questions that you can ask your provider. Okay, we love hot takes on a Postscript webinar. And so I'm curious here if any of you have a hot take on acquisition strategies that you've seen maybe become less impactful over the years. Maybe something that you would suggest to people watching this that they shift their focus away from. And I guess to piggyback on that, are there any strategies you think that merchants or marketers are still sleeping on in general in terms of acquisition? So something that can really move the needle for people that are watching this and are really wanting to focus on list growth right now before Black Friday, Cyber Monday. All right, David, let's start with you. I know you have a hot take.
I do have a hot take. I think I'm gonna go for the positive versus the negative of what's not working. But I think what is sort of sleeping on, and I think it is a constant tension between brand and data-driven parts of a business. And I think my team who's listening and my Postscript reps definitely know where I'm going with this, because I kind of hate it, but it really is the gamification of the experience. And I'm going to stay with gamification, but the classic example, that is spin to win. I think that's one where we've had many conversations around the branding elements of that. Does that make us feel too gimmicky? And I think why it works so well and why it is a sleeper, even for those who are very brand focused, is because I think consumers are at a baseline, they are neutral, but more often than not, they're going to be skeptical that this game is rigged against me. They're going to think it's like a carny game. There's no way I can win. And in fact, the game is rigged in their favor. We want them to get that highest offer so that we convert, so that we get that. And so they're surprised and they're like, wait, I won? Amazing. And that psychological barrier that you can get over with a gamification element is really powerful. And we've seen that work really well, despite all of the constant fights back and forth on the internet about who's right and who's wrong on a spin to win.
Spin to win is always the winner. It's a real thing.
I wish it wasn't.
I know.
My
Michelle,
creative team wished it wasn't.
yeah. Well, Michelle, what's your hot take if you happen to have one?
A hot take. More so like learn from my mistakes. A couple of years ago, we just decided out of the blue that during our Black Friday sale, there's no way that a customer would want to give us their email and SMS for the same offer if we match the offer or keep the welcome offer the same. So we're just going to switch it and change the whole thing. And instead of giving a discount at the sign-in offer, we did a giveaway, like a raffle giveaway of a $500 gift card. And that flopped so bad, so bad. So my hot take is don't change anything during like your most critical time of the year. And what worked best for the SAC is matching actually the site-wide offer to what's on the pop-up. Even though they don't have to give me their email and SMS to get the discount code, they still do, and it does help a lot. And they want to stay in touch. So do that instead, and always test it before Q4.
Don't run a crazy test on Black Friday.
Do not do that. Yeah.
That's a great one. Connor, how about you?
Yeah, well, I just want to make the observation in terms of what has become overrated. I mean, it's almost like everything becomes overrated at some point. There's just this like natural progression. Like one thing that just does not work today in the same way that it did 6 years ago is like 10% off in exchange for your email. Like that just becomes noise to consumers. Some people are still just running pop-ups with like free shipping. I think that's probably a bad idea. I saw one the other day, it was for 5% off. And I'm like, it can't have a great opt-in rate. You're showing it to, or like, I don't think brands are as critical as they can. And they're not adjusting for the fact that consumers are seeing pop-ups everywhere across the web. And that if everybody else is doing clever spin to wins and cashbacks and 20% offs and, bigger discounts and better gifts with purchases, that your 5% off or your free shipping is just not going to be as impactful. And you should constantly be kind of critically analyzing your approach. So those are the things that begin to work. They become less impactful over time. And frankly, cashback will probably do that at some point. 5 years from now, 8 years from now, everybody will have done cashback and my 30% off credit back offer just won't be as impactful. So it's just like the circle of life, essentially. Those are the things that I think are somewhat overrated currently. And it is just the like quote unquote best practices of 6 or 7 years ago. What I've got is underrated. One, Michelle brought this up, but like, re-establishing the offer that you have on site, I think is still pretty underrated. Like when we do markdown pricing during BFCM, we'll have a pop-up that just re-supports that. We're not giving any additional, because what we can do at that point is we're capturing emails, we're capturing SMSs, we're not giving away any additional margin. So it's just a net benefit, basically. The second thing that I have is underrated is that pop-ups can further qualify users. So like in our sweepstakes, when we looked at just a second ago, we were talking about entries, we were talking about cashback throughout the pop-up. There's been other times of the year where we'll show different images or highlight different value props. Those are really impactful impressions that you can continue articulating value and can like drive up conversion rate. So I think that's good. I've got cash back here, which we've talked about. And then I've got gift with purchase offers too. Like, so the way that we implement like a gift with purchase would be in a paid funnel where we'll have a certain landing page where you can get a free accessory for free with the purchase of a wallet. And we would have a pop-up that just reestablishes that offer. So we're able to, at every single point where we can, collect more emails, collect more SMSs without giving up additional margin when we can spare it, and without, you know, negatively impacting conversion rate.
I'm gonna plus one to Connor. One, I'm going to steal that language, but I'm going to plus one on what you said in terms of sort of over time, the degradation. The way I view it is the entire ecosystem, not just pop-ups and email collection, but D2C in general. We are on an escalator that's going down as we're trying to run up it. If you stop, you're losing. You have to constantly be testing and learning and growing. Otherwise, you're going to fall behind the rest of the pack.
That's such a good one. And I think to everyone's point here, setting and forgetting a pop-up, not going back to test, to optimize, to see what's working best. Not doing that is like a huge missed opportunity. So I want to take a step back and look at what a great overall acquisition strategy looks like, because it is obviously multi-layered. So it's testing, like we mentioned, it's reiterating, looking for new ways to engage visitors and ultimately convert them. And I think at the most basic level, we've talked about this a lot already. Everyone watching this right now is using a pop-up in some way, whether you're doing the 5% you always done or a 10%, or you're giving away a Lamborghini, everyone's using a pop-up. And we've talked about on-site opt-in, which to us is like a key lever in this pop-up experience. But I want to bring you back into this, Brian, because Brian specifically builds pop-ups for some of the biggest brands in the space, and there truly is an art to it. So Brian, I'm wondering if you could quickly walk us through your secret pop-up audit that you perform for brands. This is a big one to share with everyone.
Yeah.
And what brands, you know, what they should be testing right now, and what best practices you've maybe seen from this that have really moved the needle in terms of conversions. And if you can't see the slide very well, just want to let everyone know we're going to send you this checklist after the webinar. So you will have access to Brian's top secret formula when we wrap.
Yeah, you called it an art, but I think it's like a balance of art and science, right? Like there's some basic things that you can test and like use numbers to prove what's working, but there is an element of art to like experiment and like find what works for your brand. So like I find myself having this conversation a lot with brands that I work with at Postscript, but really like every brand, every site, and then even every shopper demographic is unique. And what that does is it opens up opportunities to A/B test to find what works best for your brand, right? There's a combination of these things, and everything's worth testing is like how I think about it. But there's a few pop-up strategies that we have been able to prove as consistent winners across hundreds of brands to maximize their email and SMS conversions in the pop-up. So I'll give you my top three here. But first is a full screen display. I think if you start to like click around on some of like the most known brands in the space, you'll find that they're using a full screen pop-up. Right. We found that it converts really well, captures their attention, and really just like allows you to use different type of imagery to convey like brand messaging and just like general feel. And it really feels like an extension of the site when you're using a full screen pop-up versus like a small little modal. And so another one, this is more like timing, trigger behavior, but minimizing the delay time maximizes impressions, right? So if you're really focused on being aggressive, especially in this lead up time to Black Friday, you want to be maximizing your impressions to be able to capture as many subscribers as possible. There might be times where you want to pull back on that, but it's really worth testing, right? And kind of this lead up time to find what works, right? Like what Michelle mentioned, like you want to have your formula in place. You don't really want to be testing during Black Friday or and finding something that could potentially flop, right? So now's your time to experiment. And I would advocate towards minimizing your delay time to maximize those impressions. And then last one, include an intro screen before email and SMS opt-in. I think Connor touched on this a little bit. I think David has as well, but like adding a step before you ask for email or phone number really gets shoppers to engage with the pop-up, gets them hooked, right? And there's a few different styles, and like you could test this to find what works. Right, we typically recommend like a yes no type of question, or you can ask like a custom properties type of question, maybe like a shopper preference, gender, something like that. Or of course, like we've talked about a lot here, spend to win. So that's typically where spend to win lives, is like on that step before you ask for email or SMS. And we find that spend to win works really well, but it's ultimately up to your brand tolerance there. And then I have a few components of the pop-up that should be tested to find what works best for your brand and customers. But image display and image content, right? So testing like where you're displaying the image in the pop-up. Is it the top, bottom, full background image? And then like, what's the content of the image? I know like with Michelle, we've tested like, do we just show like the bag, or do we show like a person with the bag? And so you can really like you can test like the different image subjects to find what works and resonates with your shoppers, because it really does impact how people engage with the pop-up. And then experimenting with the copy, like Connor said, don't just say get 10% off, right? Like try some unique copy to your brand, just like the same level of thought that you'd put into like your paid ads or your email or SMS copy. Test it, like add some brand flavor to it. And then kind of revealing a secret here, but AI is your secret weapon here. AI is great at generating copy. It understands the concept of like what a pop-up is, tell it your goals, and it will spit out different examples of copy that you can use. We do it at Postscript Plus. I'd recommend doing it. And then if you really want to get spicy, get aggressive, throw in a countdown timer into the mix. We just released this as a feature at Postscript, but you have the ability to add a countdown timer either to a specific date, like maybe for your sale periods, or you can kind of run like a session-based timer, right? So if you want to add like a 1-minute countdown to add some urgency, either to the success step to like get people shopping, or even to like the first step to get them to engage with that pop-up to claim whatever their offer might be. So highly recommend testing that one out and seeing how it impacts conversion rate.
So good. We're going to, again, send this like audit to everyone. You'll be able to see all the different steps. But as a quick recap, if you want to test this right now, try full screen display, try changing that delay time to maximize impressions, and try it on intro screen before they get the email SMS opt-in stage. So we have so many resources. Brian, I wasn't going to say this, but we do call Brian Professor Pop-Up. You know, it is one of his nicknames. So we're going to send a couple episodes of him on Text Back, our show about SMS, where he talks about acquisition strategies. And he also did a masterclass last year for everyone. So we'll send that out as well, which is all about optimizing before BFCM, for list growth. Okay. Still lots to cover. I want to maybe let's keep the pop-up train going, but let's talk about how this might change during high traffic periods like Black Friday. So Connor, the Black Friday, Cyber Monday Ridge approach to a pop-up, how might that change on Black Friday versus how, it's running right now?
Totally. So one, at Ridge, I think most brands are doing it at this point, but also 6 or 7 years ago, people would run their Black Friday sale and it'd be code-based, and you'd say, hey, use Black Friday 20 and get 20% off. There'd be no markdown pricing until you got to the checkout, until you applied the code, et cetera, et cetera. We've moved to markdown pricing, so codes don't work. And then when we go into those periods, and there's a handful of these each year, we do our anniversary sale, Father's Day, and then the holiday sale, markdown pricing largely across the site. That's when our pop-up is just reinforcing that on-site offer. One, we don't feel we need to give any additional incentive. We have great offers on the site. We just want to reemphasize that. And then two, we get to show the biggest number, to my point earlier, where it's like, if we're doing up to 40% off for our holiday sale, that's what we are best off highlighting in our pop-up, versus trying to do an additional 10% off would frankly be us giving up additional margin and likely driving down our opt-in rate. So let's show the biggest number. Let's reinforce what's on the site, and just, again, at the end of the day, and Brian hit this nicely earlier, like what we want to be doing is capturing as many unique emails and SMSs as possible. So on a gross basis, not on a percentage basis. During Black Friday, that's kind of our approach.
And don't turn that pop-up off. Please don't turn off the pop-up during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We talk about this every year, and it remains a big thing that we're going to scream from the rooftops here. Okay, Michelle, do you have anything to add here on your strategy and how that might shift during Black Friday, Cyber Monday?
Yes, definitely. A huge pet peeve that I feel a lot of brands are guilty of is not spot checking their browse abandonment and all abandonment, honestly, to reflect what's happening on the site on Black Friday. There's nothing more cringeworthy to like add something to cart as a customer and there's 30% off on site, and then like 2 hours later to take 15% off the thing in your cart. Like, no, that's just it's a little bad. And so if you're matching the pop-up to what's happening on the site, make sure that you reflect that in your welcome journey and say, hey, you joined at the best possible time. It's our Black Friday sale. Here's what's going on, and highlight everything that is going on. If you have like special markdowns on certain things, and then already talked about browse and checkout abandonment, and then add on some upsell triggers. So if someone purchased during Black Friday, don't just like check them off and like don't worry about them again. See if maybe they can come back during that biggest sale time with something else. Highlight like, oh, you use their site-wide offer. Did you know we also have special markdowns on certain items or something like that? If you're up for it, maybe like offer an extra incentive if you want to. Utilize your loyalty for sure. Early access is a big one for us. Our loyal customers are really excited about early access. And then if you have a loyalty program that collects points, then make sure you're highlighting that in addition to the site-wide offer, they're also collecting points per dollar spent. And then if loyalty customer made a purchase, they collected points. Maybe they want to use those points right away. So like make sure that the timing and the kind of like turnaround rate is a lot faster. And once Black Friday is over, what are you going to do with all the people that you collected during this peak time and they did not convert? Maybe they didn't convert because it was too loud out there. There's so many brands that send so many emails and so many sales and offers. Maybe their wallet was tight and they felt like they were spending too much. Could you extend it just to those people that joined during Black Friday, Cyber Monday? You probably should, but don't forget about them. Make sure that you continue to keep them on your radar and take into account that like special time that they joined.
So many good ones right there, Michelle. I think like a big one for anyone today watching, create those automations, create those BFCM specific automations. They're just so easy to turn on and off during that period so that messaging aligns. And yeah, to your point, loyalty. What a great time to push loyalty as well. Okay. David, you've got anything to add?
I think one, definitely doubling down on what you said, don't turn off the pop-up during BFCM. I think at a different place that has happened before because they're like, oh, like the offer's right there on the web banner. Why would we add friction? And we just lost so much of our ability to grow the following year. But I think in particular, the way I think about it is that pop-up is primo real estate. It is there to enforce your messaging, and you need to make certain that you are constantly thinking about it as just as important as your homepage banner, just as important as your email copy. They all need to be in sync as a coordinated campaign. And I think that extends to not just the pop-up, but the entire, as Mikhail was saying, like the entire flow. Absolutely, it's the worst thing when there's a disconnect. You need to think through that. And where I think there are two pieces that are really powerful. I think one is, let's be real, the majority of your consumers you acquire on Black Friday, Cyber Monday tend to be your discount-focused shoppers. How can you change your flows from an onboarding perspective, from a welcome flow of that consumer segment to start to grow them into more full price shoppers if you have a repeatable business. I think that is a really key strategy that we use from a segmentation perspective. We have to toe that line. We know they're definitely going to buy during those tempo moments, but if we can get them to buy at full price, that's huge for their lifetime value. And then second, for us, our brand, and I know many others on this call are very similar, there is a component of I'm buying this for myself, or I'm also buying this as a gift for someone else. So recognizing that and finding a way, that probably is going to be my micro moment of are you buying for yourself or are you buying for someone else? Because if they've bought for one, not the other, that's the good reason, to Mel's point, to hit them again during Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Oh, we saw you bought this amazing gift set. Do you need something for yourself? You deserve it. And I think that is a great way to find the right in to reach out to those consumers during this time frame.
You're speaking to all of us, David. Yes, we do need something for ourselves.
I need a little sweet treat.
Great one.
Absolutely.
Such a great one.
To add something to David's point, oh my God, don't forget to take the welcome Black Friday stuff off when the sale is done. I have joined, I don't even want to say, like, some of the biggest brands, like in April, and the welcome, like the first welcome email was like Cyber Week, and it totally ended like 3 months ago. It's like, wow, like someone needs to to check your welcome flow.
I also wanted to kind of use one of David's points as a jumping off. I'm trying to think, like, I guess people would turn off the pop-up because they think it negatively impacts conversion rate. That'd be like the only reason you would do it. Or maybe it's because you don't want to give away additional margin. And then my answer to both of those is, just to tie all the points together, is that one, you don't need to be giving away additional margin. You don't need an additional offer to have a great pop-up and get a good opt-in rate on your highest volume traffic periods. So that solves that problem. And then two, if it's a well-implemented pop-up that has the right messaging, it can actually reinforce and improve conversion rate. And that's like worth testing. I don't think that's a universal truth necessarily, but to our point, up to 40% off during Black Friday. Like, we want to show that to everybody, and a pop-up is arguably one of the most impactful ways to do that. So anyway, those would be my 2 points here as to justifying leaving the pop-up on throughout these high volume periods.
To kind of, I guess, continue that a little bit, Connor, is there, do you think that there's kind of hesitation there, just like on the merchant point of view, to be like, they know my best offers on the site already, so why would they even bother signing up right now? Like, are there ways to combat that a little beyond just like matching an offer? Have you seen anything that has worked, or have you guys tried different things where you're really trying to say, like, you know, even though they don't need to sign up for the SMS or the email list right now to get the biggest sale of the year, is there still a way to kind of like drive that incentive specifically during BFCM? Maybe not in the lead up, but like during that prime time.
The question is there something you can do to drive up opt-in rate during this period?
Yeah.
Well, my first answer is just that somebody's always opting in. So it's like, so if it's not negatively impacting conversion rate, you should collect the emails and SMSs when you can. Back to the very original point, that is like the very dead simple good strategy, is like, get list growth when you can. Further driving up opt-in rates during the period, I mean, aside from making it a great pop-up experience, simple to exit out if someone really doesn't want to be signing up, like, I think that's important too. You don't want to be locking people in or making them feel as if they need to be submitting in order to get the offer. Like, you're walking a fine line here again during your highest volume period. That's actually a suggestion to drive down opt-in rates slightly, but like improve site experience. But yeah, show the best offer. You have the best offer, put it in your pop-up. You'll get people opting in, and during your highest volume period, you'll still get 6, 7, 8% plus opt-ins.
Yep. David, I'm curious on, I guess if we back up a little bit, we're getting into that period now where people are going to start seeing almost like teasing out BFCM soon. I mean, we've seen that happen as early as like beginning of October, where people are already starting to talk about Black Friday sales. And especially in the lead up to kind of getting more subscribers before BFCM, is this something that you're doing at Beekman? Is there any kind of like way you're teasing things out, or you're kind of creating any kind of FOMO or anything to make sure people are getting on those lists like well in advance of Cyber Week?
Yeah, I think first point, I think D2C continues to move up the calendar on when BFCM starts every year. And we are now at the point where I think we are pre-Mariah Carey Wakening to Christmas music at this point. We're before November 1st. We've gotten earlier and earlier. But I think the biggest piece we use from a teasing perspective is being honest with our customers of, do you want the best deal soonest? Sign up for SMS. Or if we already have their SMS, sign up for our mobile app. And we bring part of that is to cross-pollinate. So we'll do a plain text campaign that'll come from myself or one of our founders that says like, hey, last year, X number of people bought during this time frame and we sold out of Y number of things. Do you want to be in this early access? If so, give us your number now and we'll leverage that and make certain you get early access. And that's a way for people to get a benefit that we give to our top tier of loyalty. They always get early access, but a little bit lower. And that builds a little bit of FOMO, builds a little bit of desire, and teases like, everyone knows it's coming. Like even my husband, who buys a lot of stuff on full price, is like, wait, isn't Prime Day coming up? So he knows at least the big ones. And everyone knows Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so they're just waiting on that. And so I think for us, we've tested that for several tentpoles. We do that for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We do that for our warehouse sale in April, which is our counterbalancing peak. And it's worked really, really well to drive our SMS list growth from our existing email subscribers, deepening that relationship so that we can further connect with those consumers, understand them more, get closer to them, improve that conversion rate across the board. And any little bit that we can do. And sometimes it's like, look, the early access people have access to a GWP. We only have 500 of them. So do you want to be on that list? And it's building that FOMO and finding that right tone of voice in that plain text. And I am absolutely going to be telling my team we need to test out the pop-up timer for that as well. Of like, hey, do you want early access to Black Friday? Sign up now, countdown timer for the pop-up as well.
Brian's going to be getting so many messages about this pop-up timer now. Michelle, I want to kind of pose this to you because I know there is something that you've talked about that the SAC has done in kind of like pre-sale periods, which would be like giveaways, kind of doing things like that in order to grow your list. And this is a topic that I think we get a lot of questions around, pushback around, like, are those still effective? Are they not? They've been effective for the SAC. And I'm just curious on if you could just share kind of like the tips that you've done that have like ended up in a good ROI state where you've been able to find the right partners or tee it up in the right way in order to really get some growth that's good list growth, but also like the right subscribers to your list.
Yeah. Obviously don't rely just on giveaways, but they are fun to do. We sometimes partner with like a third party that kind of assembles a few brands together, and then basically everyone sends out an email to their list saying, like, join this great giveaway. We've all like kind of got together in order to give like one grand prize to one lucky winner. And then it's almost like people are sharing the subscriber pool or like from the subscriber bank that they have with each other. When you do that, make sure that you are collaborating with brands that align with your branding. So for the SAC, we are a B Corp. We want to partner with other ecological, sustainable, preferably other B Corp companies and brands. And so when we do that, we get like a few thousand new subscribers. So, it's not like a huge percentage, but those are really like good, solid subscribers that are joining our list. And we know that they are like-minded because they came from the email list or the SMS list of another like-minded brand. Actually, on the last conference, it was a Postscript conference. I met Megan from Carve Designs, and we decided to do a giveaway together, and it was like this past summer, and it worked so great. So also like this is part of networking when you go out and about and you meet brands that are similar to yours in the agenda, but not competing. So like I wouldn't go with another like handbag brand, but like another ecological fashion accessory brand. Propose to them to like maybe get together for like a social media giveaway or an email or an SMS giveaway. Those are really fun. And they are a little boost before the sales period.
Again, just like a multi-layered approach to acquisition. Try it all, especially in these more down periods in the lead up to these big sales cycles. Okay, we're already coming up with time. This is flying by. I want to end with you all having your soapbox moment. So I think a lot of people watching this are overwhelmed already at all of the levers they could be pulling for list growth. They can't potentially, maybe they're already like, oh my gosh, it's middle of September. I can't do all of these things right now. So I'd love if you could each say like, hey, do this. If there's like one thing you can be hyper focused on to try, this would be like the thing I would suggest. Connor, I'd love to start with you.
Okay, I'm going to take it a slightly different route here, but what I think I've hit so far is like with a certain amount of people on your site, you want to be maximizing the amount of email and SMSs that you can capture. What we're going to be doing between now and the start of our Black Friday sale is our cashback offer, which we do during these full price periods. That's going to give us the highest opt-in rate, given the amount of people on your site. The best thing that Ridge can do for list growth is to get more people on our site. So my answer is more like you need to deeply understand your paid performance and what is the latent value of users that you're prospecting in October or early November. Because if you can figure out and justify how to drive more traffic to your site, prospect more people, capture those emails really effectively via tools like micro commitments and cashback and full screen pop-ups and 3-second delays, then that is like far and away the fastest way you're going to grow your list. And that's what our focus is going to be on over the next couple of weeks. So that would be my answer. Adopt all the best practices we've talked about and then go figure out how to spend more money, drive more people to your site.
Awesome. Michelle?
I would say ahead of Black Friday, send a message to all of the customers that are highly engaged but they're not part of your loyalty. Tell them to join your loyalty for free so that they can enjoy all the extra special perks during Black Friday. And then if they are subscribed to one channel and not the other, give them an incentive to join. So if you have someone that's subscribed to email and not SMS, say that on SMS there's going to be early access or there's going to be something extra or something special, so they join that and you can hit them on more than one channel.
David, what's your soapbox moment?
I think really it is that end-to-end campaign of the entire experience, from sending out the campaign and ads, matching through pop-up, through abandonment flow, and finding as much as you can to cross-pollinate beforehand, to really bring in those users into that early access, give them that value that costs you nothing. Getting them early access costs you nothing. Showing the pop-up doesn't cost you extra margin. This is the moment where the consumers are most likely to shop, most likely to give you the world because they feel like they're getting the world, and they are. You don't need to do anything extra on top of that.
Brian, Professor Pop-Up, what's yours? This is your moment to speak to all Postscript existing and future customers. What would you suggest?
Yeah, I got to bring it back to pop-ups, right? This is what I work on all day. It's what I talk about all day. And the general framework is more pop-up impressions equals more potential email and SMS subscribers, right? So there's a formula there. And like, how can we be strategic in showing the pop-up to more people in like qualified positions to get them to convert to becoming an email and SMS subscriber? And Michelle mentioned earlier in the call using a tool called Unveiled to create like a second chance type of pop-up. And really the way it functions is using like AI to show the pop-up at the right time. Either the subscriber is leaving the site or they've shopped around and maybe haven't like taken an action to check out. They create an opportunity to show a second pop-up. And so there's a few identity resolution tools out there that Postscript integrates with that allows you to show a second chance pop-up. So throw out some free promo. Unveiled, Black Crow, both great tools to be able to show that secondary pop-up. But I also had to get approval on this mid-call to talk about this. But Postscript also has a native feature. It's an exit intent trigger, but it works for mobile and desktop. And so again, it's another way, if you don't have an identity resolution tool, to be able to show the pop-up as a subscriber or as a shopper is showing intent to leave the site. So highly recommend introducing it to get the most out of your list growth leading up to Black Friday, but very much recommend having it active during Black Friday. In our testing so far, while it's still in beta, we found that it's contributing to a 10 to 20% lift in total email and SMS opt-ins by having that active, right? So it doesn't really conflict with your main pop-up. It's just a secondary pop-up as the shoppers leaving the site. So it's still in beta. I did get approval to talk about this though, so no one come after me. And if you want access to it, reach out to our support or your Postscript CSM to get it in your account.
Amazing. We have 3 minutes left. Really quick, because this is such a tie-in to list growth. If anyone has a rapid fire response, kind of chime in. Once someone is subscribed to your list, do you have a formula that has worked to ultimately convert them really well? Is there anything that you do that once they get in to the list, there's something that just works, whether it's pre-BFCM, during BFCM, that works really well? I think you had one, Michelle. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, a unique code, uniquely generated code, and expire the code after like X number of days. So we found 10 days on email and 3 days on SMS. Don't let it just throw it out there and have it never expire, and then communicate. You have 9 days left. You have 8 days left. You have 24 hours left. And that helps a lot.
I'll add to that. We saw a ton of success, like adding urgency in our welcome series. So I think that's a good one. We're also just looking at the data. We've seen some success with extending that welcome series too. Like I was looking at data between 3 messages and 5, and 5 is just better. We can send more messages. That tends to work.
Yeah,
David,
I think, no, I think that there's always a hesitancy and a balance of like send more emails. And I feel like this is the moment. I think we're always afraid of like, oh, is she going to unsubscribe because we're sending too many? Yes, but that's because they're getting too many from dozens of people. It's one of those things where counterintuitively you can send more than you think you can. So I think I felt that viscerally when I was saying like 10 days left, 9 days left, 8 days left, 7 days left. But in this moment, that works. It's the only moment where that does. So if you are in doubt, send more within this time frame. Targeted, make certain it's relevant. But I think getting over that hump, this is the moment.
Thank you all so much. We are officially at time. That flew by. I think all of us could talk about list growth for hours. I know Brian could. And we did not get to Q&A. I'm so sorry about that. But we have a ton of resources around list growth that are going to be going out, as well as the iOS 26 update. We are going to look at the Q&A questions, and we're going to try and answer as many of those as possible in the follow-up emails that go out. So please check your inboxes. Probably not going to get out until later this week. So if you don't see it right away, do not panic. We are going to get everyone a huge list of resources and your questions answered. So massive thank you, Connor, Michelle, David, Brian, for spending this hour with us today. Wishing you all a wonderful BFCM, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.